Hi, I'm Sierra from Center for Natural Healing, and today we're demonstrating how to make ghee. Uh, we know that coconut oil is getting really popular right now. Ghee has been around in Ayurvedic medicine for how many years, Kevin? 4,000 years, we think. So what you're going to need in order to make it is a good stainless steel pan so it won't stick. Your jars, you probably would want a jar that will hold each pound of butter, well, ultimately ghee, that you're going to end up making. And then you're going to want to use organic unsalted butter, and we use Organic Valley. And then you're going to want a very fine strainer because you don't want any of the milk solids left at all in your ghee. Your ghee is going to it's going to look clear when it's still hot, and then it'll look fairly butter colored when you're done. And then of course a spoon to stir it. One thing I wanted to say about ghee is it helps prevent cancer. Well, they say everything does, but this really does. This helps you digest your food better, and it also, you can make medicinal ghee just by, while you're making the ghee, add spices, onions, garlic, not so sattvic and not Ayurvedic medicine, but cardamom, cumin, any seed that is good for your dosha or your body type. And you can cook that right in your ghee, and you'll have medicinal ghee, and it lasts about 4 months, and it adds wonderful seasoning to your food, a wonderful flavor. It also enhances the digestibility of your food and the nutritional value of your food. So it's a win-win-win, and there is a wonderful place for coconut oil. It just, sometimes it imparts its own flavor. This is also an acquired taste. It doesn't quite taste like butter. At first I didn't like it, but now I love it. So I'm just going to demonstrate just real quickly how to lay your butter in the pan, and then we're going to cut. And this is going to be a stop, start, because it takes about 45 minutes to make the ghee. This is my favorite part. Whenever Kevin and I make it together, I say, I want to do this part. I'm a little kid. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to lay as many as we can get across here, 4, and then lay this way. So I think that's all you need to see for now. We'll start melting it, and when it's fully melted, we'll turn the camera back on, and then you can see what it looks like as it begins to cook. So bye for now. Okay, now we have all of our butter in our pan, and that is 3 pounds of butter. We usually do 3 pounds at a time. And we're going to set the heat to medium-low. If you have a gas stove, you're going to know what medium-low is. And we're also going to show you what time it is. It's just about 11 o'clock. And just so you get an idea of how long it takes to make this. And we're going to let this start to melt. And the key to making ghee, which I am still learning from Kevin, who's pointing the camera at me right now, is the sound. So we're going to let this boil down a bit and show you the next step and what to listen for. So again, 11 o'clock, and we'll be back when this is all melted and starting to bubble lightly. Hi, as you can see, it's been 25 minutes, and the ghee is starting to boil, and the butter fat is separating from the actual oil. If you can kind of see through here, you can see little chunks of butter fat, and eventually we'll start scraping off the top of this, but not quite yet. It's actually starting to become ghee. It's been boiling at a slow boil, and you can see it starting to separate out. I don't know if you can see on this camera, but there's little chunks of butter fat, and this foam will scoop off in a little while. And you can see the butter fat is starting to separate from the oil, and that's what ultimately we're going to want. All the butter fat's going to sink to the bottom. And wish you could smell it in here. Oh, it smells so good. And well, that's it for now. And we'll check back in about 15 minutes or so. Oh, and I'm going to not talk so you can hear the sound. Okay, it's been about another 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm going to be quiet for just a second so you can hear the sound. Hear how loud that is? This is just about done. So I'm going to start scraping some of this milk fat out. You always want to save your little containers. And try just to get the froth and not so much of the oil. First time I made it, I took off too much of the oil and ended up with not 3 pounds of butter. I'm sorry, not 3 pounds of ghee. Used to be when I was younger and my digestion was better, I'd take a piece of bread and I would eat the milk fat on the bottom. It's yum.
I'm going to break in here and just point out a couple of things, because this went a lot quicker at the end, and sometimes it does. The bubbles are starting to change and get a little bit smaller, and if we look down through the bottom, we can start to see, it's a little difficult in the video, but we can start to see that the bottom is starting to brown, and we're going to want to take it off the heat at this point, because it's going to start to impart flavor to it. So we're going to go ahead and pull it off the heat, and then finish skimming the edges and get the milk solid that's floating. We're going to get that off. As you look down through, you can see the milk solid on the bottom of the pan. We're going to leave that where it is. We're not going to disturb that. Once all the milk solids that are floating have been removed, we'll go ahead and pour the ghee through a strainer and into the containers, pouring gently so that the milk solid on the bottom doesn't get disturbed.
And Kevin, I think there's some people that like their ghee a little bit browned. It gives a different flavor.
Yes, I like to let it brown a little bit, but I don't like to, if you let it go too long, if it starts to burn, it really starts to impart or really gets dark brown, it starts to impart a much stronger flavor. And so I like just a little bit of brown on the bottom, and that works. That's what I like the best for myself.
And if you don't take all this off, we know some people who aren't so patient. Your ghee is going to end up kind of cloudy and runny and not so flavorful.
It will also spoil a little quicker. So we try to...
That's good, right, Kevin?
Yeah, we'll try to skim off everything that we can, and so that we have just clear liquid going into the jars. And we'll show that to you in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and
I can
sign off for now. So we've finished skimming the top of the ghee, and now you can just see the milk solids on the bottom, and you can see that it's browned in there a bit as well. So I'm going to hand camera over to Sierra, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the containers.
Kevin, I think we wanted to point out that I did a boo-boo. We didn't contaminate the ghee, but you're never going to want to, since this isn't sterile, you're never going to want to put your spoon in here and then dip it back in. So Kevin went and got a clean, and all of our utensils are sterile because we're aromatherapists. So this has not been contaminated. You don't have to worry about it so much when you're using it for your eating.
And that's mainly just because you want to keep, ghee will keep at room temperature for a long period of time, but if you are double dipping into the ghee with utensils that have been in food, then microbial activity is more likely, and then your ghee will not last quite as long. So when we're finished, we'll usually put all but one into the fridge, and then keep one out, and then when it finishes, we'll go ahead and take the next one out, just because we make 3 pounds at a time instead of 1 pound at a time. So let me hand the camera over to Sierra, and
Okay, I'm not good at this, so bear with me.
So I'm going to pour gently because I don't want to disturb the bottom. So you can back off just a little bit so I can pour this in. So I'm just going to pour these into each container and straining it all the way and being careful not to disturb the bottom too much. One more. On occasion, I will get a little bit at the end because I like to try to get the last little bit of ghee out of the pan, so I may get a little bit of solids in there.
Not in the ghee, in the strainers, he's saying.
You can also use cheesecloth. Some people use cheesecloth, and I'm a little lazy to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and just get this last little bit of ghee. And before that solid drops down in, I'll stop. Now you can look at the jars and see that they're clear. A little cloudiness to them, but that's normal. And I'm going to go ahead and put the caps on now and screw them on tight. Be careful because the glass is hot at this point, and so you probably want to use a pot holder or something so that it doesn't burn your fingers when you tighten these lids on. And I'll keep the containers, I won't move them until they start to solidify a bit. And when they start to cool down a bit, then I'll transfer them to the refrigerator because that's where I'm going to store mine. If you weren't refrigerating it, you can just let it sit at room temperature, and it would take a while to solidify, a lot longer than if you do it in the fridge. So that's it for now. We'll go ahead and show you what it looks like when they're solidified. And good. We're all tight. We'll let those sit for a bit, and we'll be back.
Kevin, you want to hold one of those up and just see? Oh no, you're saying you can't move them.
Well, I
I'm
prefer
gonna
not
squat
to.
down.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find some light. They're just so pretty.
I'll hold one up. It's just they're going to get a little warm. So let me hold it up into the light here.
See how nice and clear that is? That is a good ghee.
And we'll show you what that looks like once
When
it's cooled down and solidified.
And I have to show you these yummy. Kevin and I used to eat that with sourdough bread. Oh, it's so, and the little sucanat. It is so good, but not at our age. Okay, well, hope you've enjoyed this, and call us with any questions, and we'll help you learn how to make this. Bye for now. Hi, it's after supper. It's been a while. The ghee's been in the refrigerator, and I just wanted to show you what it looks like when it's done. Now this is hard. I can't open it because Kevin closed it. So we leave this in the refrigerator. You really don't need to, but we do. When I first met Kevin, he had jars of ghee in his cabinet in his cabin. This is our use, and I just wanted to show you the texture. If yours is runny or white, you don't have it quite right yet, it's not going to hurt you to eat it, but this is what you want it to look like. Kind of like soft butter. That's it. Keep trying. You'll like it.